Well, there you have it. We told you that the LeBron media will be at it again this morning, sucking and slobbing on the reason why LeBron James lost another playoff series in meltdown fashion. We told you. I mean, how clear could we be about this? I mean, these are grown-ass men that have been making excuses for a grown-ass man forever now. Forever. And it's like, I mean, who really owns ESPN? Are those guys that just work there and they get paid from ESPN and they're allowed to get paid? They're getting paid too. And they're allowed to get paid from Clutch. Wow. And they're allowed to get paid from Clutch. I mean, this is just crazy, man, because you would think like grown men would have a pair of nuts to where they say, no, 95% of NBA fans are going against what they're saying, right? Let's just say the LeBron fans are the 5%, and the media is somewhere mixed in with that 5% LeBron James fan base. But the basketball media should be calling this thing down the middle, should be calling it fair and telling it like it is. And like I said before, they act like this guy is like 10 years into his career or something. This is what they act like. Oh, yeah, he's only 10 years in. Yeah, he's got another chance. That was in, what was it, 2014? That was in 2014 that he was like 10 years. Might have been 11. But as far as, somewhere in between there. So we could understand it. 14, he got blown off the damn floor by a record margin by a team that didn't need to cheat. Every team that beats him is a super team. They just got more talent. And that was the, I don't know. That really wasn't the call in general from the media in the 2010s until we got to, I was like 2017, right? That was really the first super team that LeBron James faced. And to be real, I don't call that a super team because Curry was a team's number one franchise player, and Kevin Durant was also another team's number one franchise player and leader. So, I mean, you can even question that. I guess you could say he was the best player on the OKC. I wouldn't say he's a leader, but okay. He was another team's number one franchise player. So, when we look at that, Draymond Green wasn't another team's number one franchise player. Clay wasn't another team's number one franchise player. So actually, in 15, the Warriors was just another team in the 2010s that had to face LeBron's super team. 16, the Warriors was just another normal team with guys coming out of the draft that had to face LeBron's super team. It wasn't until 17 when it was really considered a super team, but it's not really considered a super team because it's only two guys on there, Durant and Curry, who are other teams' number one franchise players. So it's really not even a super team. In fact, when you look at it, the Warriors was going against LeBron's super team 15, 16, and 17. In 17. Right? I mean, you could say 18. No, of course not. But wouldn't that be even now? Because the Warriors really want no super team. A super team is other teams' number one franchise players and leaders of another team. How come Clay didn't go and lead some other team right now when he left? Draymond Green could never do that. So they're basically trying to overplay this and overstate this for LeBron James' failures. I mean, that's crazy. When you think about it the way I thought about it, you can't just say, oh, man, this dude good, man. This dude a good player, man. Super team. He an all-star, man. He a Hall of Famer, super team. No. Clay might not even be a Hall of Famer if you don't play with Curry. Same thing with Pippen. Let me tell you something about Pippen. A lot of people ain't telling you guys, right? In 1990, Pippen, I would have to look at this again to make sure it's all the way accurate, but it's basically like this. Pippen makes the All-Star team in the 90s. You know why? One, Dominique Wilkins got hurt. Two, Larry Bird got hurt. Pippen never makes an all-star team. If Charles Barkley stays in the East, I'm serious, Dominique Wilkins doesn't get hurt. In Bird, he keeps playing at least 15 years. I'm trying to tell you guys. Remember, I think it was 90. Pippen made an all-star team, and then he was back up off the all-star team. I think the very next season. Let me see if I can find this real quick. I'm just saying, guys, that Klay Thompson, he might not make the Hall of Fame without Steph Curry. 1990 NBA All-Star Game. I want to make sure this is accurate right here. So Pippen was a reserve. The starters were Barkley in this is 1990. Yeah, it was Barkley and Bird, and then Wilkins and Scottie Pippen was a forward, and Dennis Rodman was on there. Let me look at 91 because Scottie Pippen was off of there in 91. So in 91 he got beat out by Bird. He got beat out by Barkley. He got beat out by Kevin McHale. He got beat out by Bernard King. So what's his name? Bird, he didn't play though. So in 92, Bird got voted again, but he didn't play. Charles Barkley. Where am I at? Am I in 92? I thought I just seen. I could have sworn they said Pippen was in there in 91. No, he got beat out by what's his name? Bernard King. Yeah, Bernard King never got hurt. Pippen would have been finished. So that was 91. See, 92. Bird was on there, but he didn't play because he was hurt. He was a small guard or small forward, and Barkley was a power forward. Pippen, he was on there, but he was a reserve with Reggie Lewis. Yeah, Reggie Lewis when I got hurt. Dominique Wilkins was on there in 92. Let me just see 93. Pippen still ain't made a start yet. He's already been on, what was it, 90 and 92. So this is 93 right here. So yeah, Scottie Pippen starts in 93 with Larry Johnson. And Bird is never to be seen again. And Dominique Wilkins is on there. Def Left Shrimp is on there. Larry Nance is on there. Larry Johnson is on there. So, like I said, even if he does make it, he does never as a starter while Bird is there. So your boy Klay Thompson, I don't know if he was ever a starter. Was he ever a starter on All-Star? Anyway, let's get back to the story. Anyway, I'm not trying to say Scottie Pippen was overrated, but Scottie Pippen, he was the greatest sidekick of all time, right? He wasn't, he was all around player. And that's what Klay tried to be too. But he was a better shooter than Scottie Pippen. But his defense is overrated. When you go look at, he ain't making that many defensive teams, and leading the league in steals and stuff like that. A good defensive player for this era. So I think Scottie Pippen better on defense. Scottie Pippen better, I would say better ball handler by just a little bit. By much really, because Klay, I ain't saying he couldn't handle the ball, but he was just more of a spot up shooter. He can't take y'all to dribble like like Curry or something like that. But I would take Pippen over Klay any day. It depends on what you want, really. Because if you say you wanted Clay because of offense, okay, you could say that. But back in the day when we watched basketball, it was defense first. You wasn't. It was just. Let me tell you something. I've been saying this, and ain't nobody been saying this, and that's okay. But since they implemented this physical defense in the playoffs, and I heard Joe Dumars implemented it, which was dumb. Not because we don't want to see him play, physical basketball, but why do it in the playoffs? It's dumb. You let these guys do it all season so they can get used to it. Maybe bring back some, paint games, some, pick and roll to the basket instead of pick and pop out there on the 3-point line. Some real fundamentals of the game that you got to have, especially when you was playing defense back in the day. Let me tell you something. If you didn't have fundamentals back in the day, or get the ball in the post, make certain bounce passes accurate, right, at the right time, at the right angle, all these type of things, you couldn't play in the NBA. You couldn't play in college. I mean, they totally just stripped the fundamentals out of the game. You can't blame these players, but my God, LeBron James is supposed to be this fundamental king. He's supposed to be, all this about basketball, but he never complains about how they basically stripped the fundamentals out of the game and made this game easier. Anybody can play this game. When you don't have no standards of carrying and traveling, and now you're not playing basketball on every level, from the 3-point line, to the mid-range, to guys posting up. And that's why I told you guys before. This is how we grew up, right? When you watch football, right? Everybody has a certain position, whether it's on the offensive line, defensive line, or defense, or quarterback, whatever. Everybody has a different skill set at that position, right? Everybody possesses a different skill set, right? And you could even say, in baseball, right? One of my first loves, I was a natural at baseball, and I told you guys, I will not support that trash when they kicked all the black players out. I won't support that trash. I grew up on, the Andre Dawsons and the Ricky Hendersons and the Ken Griffey Jr.'s and the Dave Hendersons and the Dave Justices and the Dave Winfields and, the Kirby Pucketts and, these guys like that, man. Okay, here comes the ambulance. Let's see what he wants. It's an emergency. And this is how I grew up, man, watching these guys play. The Bobby Bonilla's, what's this guy's name? I forget this guy's name. But the Bo Jacksons, the Deion Sanders, these type of people, man. These type of people were actually in baseball back in the day. These people were in baseball back in the day. You guys put it, yeah, Barry Bonds, these type of black players. And they made the game great. You have Bo Jackson and Deion Sanders playing baseball and football on the same damn day. You wouldn't even believe that. You wouldn't even believe that, folks. You wouldn't even believe it. The Tony Gwynns. And they got rid of all these black players for people who don't even speak English. For people who can't even promote the game because they don't speak English. People who can't even bring you a soap opera because they can't speak English. You got rid of the black players, 95% of for some people, even the white players, for some people who don't speak English. What kind of issue is that? And look, when I was growing up and I was watching baseball, in the 90s, yes, you had a lot of Spanish players. And the Spanish players were starting to come in the 80s. So I had no problem with the Spanish players. I think they were great. The Sammy Sosas and, Rafael Palmeiros and, these guys like that, I had no problem with it. The problem was you saturated a great league and got rid of all the black players and saturated it with all these Spanish players who don't speak English. And they try to keep a lot of these white players so it don't look racist. And, eventually they start getting rid of the white players too. Now you have nothing. So, I'm sorry, guys. We were talking about basketball, but, baseball was my number one sport growing up. I played baseball. I was a natural. I watched the Atlanta Braves was my favorite team. The Cubs were my second greatest team. best team. And I'm not just talking about all the black players. You know, I grew up on the white players too. The Ryan Sandbergs and the Mark Graces and, you know, Tommy Glavine, all the great pitching for the who was that? For the Atlanta Braves and Greg Maddux. Actually, he played for both of our teams, the Cubs and the Atlanta Braves. So it's just, it sucks, man. It hurts. And that's why I said I can't support that. Can't support that trash. It's not, and to me, look, I've said this many times, and I'm not trying to, you know, be racist or nothing like that, but damn, if they had any kind of brain, they would have kept the majority of the players black American and Spanish, and you would have had a super league. You would have had a super league. Because what they try to do is they kicked all the black players out. They brought the majority of Spanish, and they try to put them with these white players. Now, we already know white people can't really sell the soap opera. It's always sold off of black people, for better or for worse. They used Barry Bonds as the soap opera that kept it alive for its last days, right? And then when the Barry Bonds thing was over, baseball was over. Nobody cared. But, you know, it is what it is, man. And they did this because they could pay these Spanish guys and these Caribbean farm teams nothing. They're paying like $25,000, $50,000 a year. Even if they paid them $100,000, that's nothing. American player in the farm team, you have to pay him $1 million or more a year. Kind of the same thing they did with basketball, right? They kicked out all the white players, white American players, and they kept the black players. And they start bringing in all these international black players on top of that. So, anyway, let's get back to this story. I mean, baseball gets me emotional, and, you know, basketball's kind of be like, NBA is starting to be like that too. It's just a whole bunch of international players playing with no style to the game or anything like that. But anyways, the fundamentals. When you play physical basketball, you got to have fundamentals in order to be able to shoot, to be able to score, to be able to dribble, because the dudes are draped on top of you. I remember my first basketball game. I was scared to death. I'm talking about, like, you know, not on the playground, but what do you call it? Organized game. It was scary, man. It was scary because it ain't like playing at the playground. Everybody is fundamentally sound. Or everybody was back then. If you dribble the ball the wrong way, if you pass the ball a little bit the wrong way, you know, anything. You try to enter the ball into the post the wrong way, you know, anything just will get the ball stolen, will get you yelled at by the coach. You know, if you shot the ball at the wrong time, it's a lot of fundamentals that come with the game of basketball, man. And to see them strip the fundamentals out of the basketball game just for these trash players today, and then they tell you these guys are worth all this money. Why? How? Where? Because they don't have real NBA fans, folks. These are fans who just want to see entertainment. Those fans, are you crazy back in the day? You're just going to sit there and carry the ball up the damn court, past the half court line, carry. They'll be cussing that referee out. Do your goddamn job. What's wrong with you? Why are you getting paid to be a ref? That ain't the temperament of these fans today. These aren't real NBA fans. How could you be the best at your job? The best at their job get paid more money. So you're at your job and maybe you're the best or somebody else is the best and they're doing all of it wrong. They're doing it all wrong. And they're being told they're the best at your work. They're getting paid all this money and they're doing it all wrong. This is the NBA, folks. So anyways, this is what you got to have when you're playing hardcore defense. You got to have straight fundamentals. You was going to make it on the team back in the day. Because they weren't as fundamentally sound as other players. It is what you went to these, you know, camps to learn. Fundamentals. So what the hell is the NBA doing now? But anyways, it looks silly because now all you have is a pick and pop, and shooting all these threes in hot potato with a physical defensive game that they now want to put in these playoffs. Boy, that don't match up. It don't match up. You can't be taking all these threes with guys draped on you. And these guys, it looks, oh my God, just go watch 90s basketball. Maybe early 2000s too. You will not see all these picks, man. The only time you see a pick really is pick and roll to the basket, really. You ever see a guy that needed a pick just to take a guy to the basket or a guy to score? This is ridiculous, man, what you see today. They literally need a pick to shoot a three because it's not a good shot. It's not a good shot. And now the defense is on them. They all look dumb. They look dumb. The shot looks dumb. This is the only moves they got. They don't have any moves. And they're lucky they're still calling fouls relatively, because if they need to go back. If they're going to let them play physical, you need to really call fouls physical as far as what they used to be in the 90s, in the 2000s. But they've been doing a better job on refereeing. And let's see, man, the Lakers are out. When the Lakers are out, basketball is basically back to normal. Now, you're going to have the carrying and traveling, but the whining and crying, we're not going to see that as much. We're not going to see, teams hacking the hell out of another team just to win. We ain't going to see that. So, this is great right here. It's a great time right here. And, we told you before the playoffs started that people's legacies are on the line, man. People's legacies are on the line. No joke. We got a lot to come out of this, man. If you guys want to just think it's about these guys out here playing basketball and making money, and that's it, they don't have to live up to nothing, and, that's fine with me. But the media can shut the hell up about how good they are. You actually have to have a real playoff legacy. So let's talk about Anthony Edwards real quick. My phone is low. I don't like what he did. It's a video circulating that, he was walking around the arena after the game. Some people say I don't know, man. They say he walked back to his hotel from the arena. In his arena, the hotel is attached to the arena. I don't know, man. And he's out there talking cash-ish, dapping it up with, all these security guards. Want to be security guards. They don't look like security guards to me. They look like dudes that just, need a job from the arena or something. Follow me. I'll give you some money later. But nevertheless, he had a horrible game 5, right? Horrible. He had a pretty good series. Not an all-time great series or nothing like that. He had a good series. Now, I want this guy to save his energy. And that's why I said these guys ain't about business. Guys back in the day were about business. Because if you was to act like these guys act after one game, after one series, you would be getting clowned back in the day. There's no professionalism in the NBA no more, because the sports writers do not hold these guys to any standard. Any standard. That's how bad sports, the NBA has fallen. They're trying to squeeze what they can, out of the NBA because of the ratings. Because it's so awful now that they say, okay, we can't hold these guys to any standard. Just let them do what they want to do for views, for clicks, for so we can write about something. So Anthony Edwards is just immature to me, man. And he hasn't won nothing. You're gonna go to the next round. I mean, you're most likely gonna have to play OKC or Denver if you do win against the Warriors. I still got the Warriors winning against the Rockets, but I just don't see him. I don't see them beating the Warriors. Now the Warriors last night, they played like trash. They didn't even want to be there. They threw that game. Come on, man. Make no mistake about it. They for some reason, I don't know if they were sore from the last game and said, we're going back home anyways. We'll just close it out. But I've never seen, we can make a whole video on that. If any other team would have did that, maybe LeBron James or, Denver would have did that and played like that and just gave up and said, we got next game, we'll close it out at home. From the start, they did that, man. Everybody would be crucifying LeBron James or Joker. What Steph Curry did and Jimmy Butler did was unacceptable. They got destroyed. That was unacceptable. For them saying they don't even want to play. But to me, the Timberwolves, they don't get past the Warriors. And anyways, even if they did, they would have to play OKC or they have to play Denver. They're not going nowhere. They're not going nowhere. So for all this popping off that Anthony Edwards has done, you play the Lakers, man. The Lakers were only a number 3 seed because they got to play goon basketball basically when they got rid of AD. And luckily, like I told you guys, the league was able to play, or the rest of the teams are able to play physical in the playoffs too, because Joe Dumars said it's okay. They didn't want to make it look like, oh, okay, just the Lakers are doing it. To me, they only did it for the Lakers. But they said, go ahead and play physical. We're going to let everybody. They didn't want to make it seem like, oh, we're just doing it for the Lakers. But they were doing it for the Lakers. That's the only chance the Lakers had, was to play goon basketball. Hack everybody. Nevertheless, like I said, Anthony Edwards ain't going nowhere. This guy ain't about business. Until he can straighten up and he's about business, Joker is about business, SGA is about business, Curry's about business. Some of these guys like that, you're going to have to grow up. So, same thing with Karl Anthony Towns. This guy is too young, man, in the mind. He's just too young in the mind. He ain't about business. He ain't going nowhere. And, Julius Randle need to get a hold of, get a hold of Ant and tell him, man, calm down, man. This is business, man. Let's do this. This ain't the way you do it, man. You beat nobody. You beat LeBron James. I mean, you beat nobody. So hopefully, I don't know, man. This is going to be I wish this game was coming on earlier, the Denver game. I don't know, maybe if I can get to see bits and pieces of it, or I might stay up. It is Friday. I don't know. It takes a lot, this is Thursday, going on Friday. It takes a lot for me to stay up, man. If I stay up past 10, I won't go to sleep, and then I'll be late to work. I don't know, man. But I still got Denver closing this out. I don't know what's going on with New York. Like I told you, they shouldn't even go to the next round. They're going to get smoked, whoever they play. They're going to get maybe swept